Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Min and I'm your co-host today with Matthew from the office, and we're from NDIS Property Australia and you're listening to the SDA Housing Podcast, a show that explains, highlights, guides and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Matt, welcome. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Exciting topic today. We have another release, a new project. What is it all about, Matt?
So we're doing some units that are coming up in the project is called the Hoxton. It's in Liverpool in Sydney. There's going to be a total of 7 SDA units. The complex is 303 apartments and they're luxury apartments over 3 buildings.
So we have 7 3-bedders here.
3-bed, 3-bathroom. Sorry, 3-bed, 2-bathroom.
Plus 1 OOA. So we have 8 units for sale. The OOA is simply a 1-bed, 1-bath studio, like an office for the carers on site. And why we like this one is because 2 reasons, Matt. One is it's almost finished, built in October, November. So late October. Yeah, so late October has been physical completion and then council certification and all that kind of stuff, plus NDIS certification. Probably November-ish, late November into December is the paperwork. So obviously in this time of the year, Christmas is around the corner, people are rushing things in, so it's a little bit hard for us to determine how quickly the titles, the certification will go through in December-ish or so. But anyway, Matt, let's talk more about the project. So what do you know about this? What are your notes saying?
Well, I'm just looking here that obviously Liverpool was a great area for this project. So Liverpool's set to become Sydney's 3rd largest CBD and is forecasted for a rapid population growth thanks to all the local infrastructure investment in the area, and as well as the Sydney Metro Southwest, the Western Sydney Airport and the Aerotropolis precinct. So that it's kind of a thriving hub in terms of it being a CBD in the local area.
So how far is it from the CBD?
From Sydney CBD, it's about 50 minutes by train.
Yeah, okay.
But it's kind of its own little precinct itself. So,
tell us more about the area, Matt, the Liverpool region, city, suburb itself.
So Liverpool actually has it's more of a young profile. 40% of the residents are under 35 years of age. And the area has more than 250 parks and green spaces. So it's also got the Holsworthy Aquatic Centre and the Whitlam Leisure Centre. So there's a lot going on in the area. It's got a good work-life balance. So it's a great location.
So university there in TAFE as well, I see.
Yep. Yeah, so there's 9 public and private schools in the Liverpool area with TAFE, Western Sydney University and the University of Wollongong campuses.
So the median age in this of the population is about 34, and the families is 50% of the households in Liverpool are about families. Yeah. Now demand. How's the SDA demand looking?
So currently, in terms of the Sydney Southwest kind of area, as of the 30th of June to 2022, so this is some time ago. This is the data which is on the NDIS website. There's about 207 participants with SDA funding, of which 153 are in an SDA dwelling, but many of these participants are residing in legacy or existing dwellings.
So as we've discussed so many times in our past podcasts, the legacy and existing dwellings of disability homes in the marketplace, no matter where you are in Australia, look at being defunded and phased out in the coming few years. We reckon 3, 4, 5 years from now. So those 153 participants in this area of southwest Sydney we're probably looking at new homes at some point when they all get phased out and defunded, I suppose, yeah. And adding to that, Matt, there's 56 new build dwellings to house a maximum 103 residents in the area as well.
Something worth noting as well is obviously this is a very luxury project. So I envision that while there might be residents that are also in existing dwellings, maybe not legacy, that is SDA and is suited to their needs, they might tend to move to this location just because it's ideally where you'd want to be.
So being 303 units in 3 buildings, Matt, there will be a lot of stuff downstairs, as in restaurants and cafes and bars and retail precinct as well underneath, yeah. So the good thing about this, Matt, is we're looking at completion 2 months away. We're now entering today's the end of September, so I don't know when this podcast will be released next few weeks, but we're now doing a soft launch to our investor client base who are looking around for options for built stock. This is pretty much within a month and a half from now being completed, and I just spoke to the vendor just then, who's also a SIL provider, and he said that best case scenario is late November for settlement for any investors looking to buy now. And being so close to Christmas, Matt, Christmas, everyone shuts down for Christmas, lawyers and financiers and all that kind of stuff. I doubt you're either ready to settle in November or really early December, or that's it, because no one's going to settle at Christmas period. So my gut feeling is late November, early December is settlement, or mid-January when everyone gets back from work, lawyers and banks. Okay, so fun times ahead to get this out of the way as quickly as possible. And if anyone's interested, just talk to Matt or Debbie or Kendall in our office.
Yeah, so currently there's...
But Matt, if anyone's interested, it's a $1,000 EOI.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, and then contract. Yeah, sorry, I stole your thunder, Matt, sorry. So can you please...
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a $1,000 holding fee EOI. So that amount's refundable in the event that you get to contract stage, you see the contract, you choose to not proceed,
or no finance.
That number's fully refundable. And then the contracts will be issued, as mentioned, on approval of the EOI. So once the EOI is accepted, the contracts will be issued. There'll be a 10% deposit due 21 days from the unconditional. So once that contract's signed. And then the remaining balance is due on completion. So the completion is estimated, as mentioned, to be November 2022, which is later this year. 2 months away. Not that later.
Yeah, 2 to 3 months away, yeah. So I'm sure if you're a cash buyer, you have a dual settlement, because the vendor is buying it from the developer as disability apartments and SDA apartments, 3-bedroom HPS. So it'll be taking 2 participants per apartment.
Yep.
And the category of participants are
HPS,
and
FA
and
IL.
So it'll be a combination of those 3, as in HPS plus HPS, or HPS and FA, or FA plus FA, or IL plus one of those other 3. So it'll be
combination between the 3.
Yeah. So the SIL provider said they've already received 4 interested participants who are already SDA funded, ready to go.
Awesome. Yep.
They're getting inquiries from the Liverpool Hospital and also other sport coordinators in the area as well. Okay. So I asked them whether the participants were aware of sharing, and they're okay with sharing. So we're looking at 2 participants per 3-bedroom. And the 3rd bedroom, Matt, is a spare room. So don't think it's 3 participants per apartment. No.
Yep. So maximum 2 participants. For people who are wondering if it's 3-bedroom, it's maximum 2 participants per apartment. Whether they get 2-bedroom funding or 1-bedroom funding, that remains to be seen, I suppose. But it would be 2 participants maximum per.
So Debbie in our office, she's already done the FISO matrix of the accommodation there already, and it will show you the outcomes of it. So Matt, what's the in your notes there? What's the yield potential there? Oh, by the way, the sale price is $840,000.
Yeah,
for now.
For now, yeah. So
I want to emphasise that because as the units are being filled up with, I won't say guaranteed tenants, but as with tenants earmarked for each unit, the prices will go up. Right? So bear that in mind, everyone. If you're keen to act, please jump on while you can, while it's empty at the price of $840,000. You were saying, Matt?
no, I was just saying. I think we were speaking about the yield. So obviously, best case scenario, a HPS and a HBS.
So go from lowest to highest, Matt.
Okay.
Gross yield.
Yeah. So IL and IL would be a gross yield of 9%, which is still very good. That's the worst case scenario. And then going up from there would be fully accessible and improved livability, and you're looking at about 12% there. Then going up from there, HBS and IL is about 14.5%. Fully accessible and fully accessible is 14.7%. And then you've got your HBS plus FA, which is the 17.4%. And lastly, best case scenario, HBS and HBS, you're looking at a yield of 20%, 20.1% to be precise.
So the max. So just to go on from that, Matt, just cash flow wise, HBS or HBS, maximum funding in a 3-bedroom is $169,000 a year gross income. That is rare. We know that having HBS maximum funding is pretty rare. I think realistically, Matt, have we got in here HBS and oil? HBS, yeah. So I reckon realistically we're looking at, so the two extremes are 76,900 for the 2 ILs, and HBS plus HBS max funding is 169,000. So they're 2 extremes. I reckon realistically we're looking at the middle there. 2 FAs or HBS and IL, so about 2 FAs are 123,000, HBS plus IL is 122,000. So around about the 120 to 125,000 is the realistic outcome. As an investment, you should never assume maximum returns because that's a little bit too, optimistic and gung ho. Yes, and you can also consider worst case scenario, so 76. But I reckon 120 to 125 is the benchmark there. That's gross yield.
Yep.
The costs there. We don't have the full exact costs. We've got estimate only, Matt. What are those costs? I mean, by the way, the reason why we're doing this podcast, everyone, is because you were talking to a client, Matt.
Yeah, so obviously we've received a lot of inquiries, early on inquiries for these units. Just people asking a number of questions that we perhaps didn't fully elaborate on in our document and our brochures. So we'll also be answering a few questions that we received.
In a moment, yeah. So moving on to that, Matt, we have, so the size, so we have 7 units, 1 on each level. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the total size of these 3-bedroom units are exactly the same, 111 square metres. Was it 89 internal plus 12 balcony, wasn't it? Yeah, so that's the 89 plus 12 is 111 square metres at $840,000. Design category of HPS. Okay. Now,
I think it's worth noting that even though they're on different levels, they're the same price. So I suppose if you are interested in this, I would say get in early because I feel like the higher levels might go quicker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the what if. Okay, what if there's only 1 resident? Okay, not 2 residents. So normally, in our past podcasts, we've done topics like North Coogee and Queen's Garden, which were in Perth. And those are all 2 bedrooms. So
those are all one tenant.
Yeah, they're always 1 tenant. Yes. Yeah. So with those 1 bedroom for those 2 bedroom apartments, which are always 1 tenant, the outcome was going to be a 2 bedroom unit with a 2 bedroom funding for 1 resident, or a 1 bedroom funding for 1 resident. Okay. So in this scenario here, Matt, on our notes here that Debbie created, it shows 2 bedroom, 1 resident funding. The max yield for HBS is 121,000 in Liverpool, 89,700 for FA, and improved.
Or you mean 131 and 90?
Oh, sorry, my bad. I didn't add the RRC. Sorry. Yeah. So HBS is 131,000, FA is 99,100, and IL is $64,000. So Matt, those yields are how much are those yields?
Yeah, so gross yield with just one HBS participant with 2-bedroom funding would be gross yield of about 15.7%.
And the net?
Net is about 11.9%. And then you've got your FA. So FA 2-bedroom funding for one resident has a gross yield of about 12%, and then a net yield of 8.7%. Lastly, the IL has gross yield of about 7.7 and a net yield of 5.1%.
Gotcha. So the reason why we're bringing this up is because you might get only one tenant only, and there's no one else to come in.
Yeah.
And because sometimes you get tenants who can't share, right?
Yes.
And if they go into this 3-bedroom unit, they'll have 2 spare rooms, and their funding may be based on a 2-bedroom unit only, not a 3-bedder. Yeah. So now next page here is a two bed 2 resident funding. So we talked about the 3-bedroom 2 resident funding. We talked about the 2-bedroom 1 resident funding. Now we have a 2-bedroom 2 resident funding in this 3-bedroom unit. You go.
Excellent. Yeah. So we have the IL and IL, which has a gross yield of about 7.5%, net yield of 5%.
And that's based upon a total income of 62,000 per year. Yep, gross.
And then going up from that, you have the FA and the IL. That's about 9.7% gross yield, net yield of 6.8%.
And that's 81,000 per year gross income?
Yep. And then the HBS and IL, that's 96,000 for a gross yield of 11.5% or a net yield of 8.3%. Mm-hmm. Next is your FA and FA. That's a gross yield of 11.8% and a net yield of 8.6%.
With a gross cash flow of $99,400 per year.
And then you got the HBS plus FA with a gross yield of 13.7% and a net yield of 10.2%.
And the total cash flow there is $114,700 per year gross income.
And lastly, you have the HBS plus HBS, 2-bedroom for 2 residents. That will be $130,000 income or a gross yield of 15.5%, and that equates to a net yield of 11.3%.
Yeah. So Matt, can you explain to our listeners what not the numbers, but what the costs going to be?
Yeah, so your biggest fee would be the provider fee, obviously. So that represents around probably 11% to 13% of the gross income of the property. Then you've got your body corporate. You've got your land tax. Land tax would be very, very small, very small. It's your stamp duty.
Well, no.
That doesn't really come into...
That's acquisition costs. We're talking about ongoing costs here.
Yeah. And then you've got your council rates and water rates. Yeah.
Insurance.
And insurance.
And what else? Maintenance.
Yeah. So maintenance, depending on if something needs to be fixed or...
$1,000, $2,000 a year. It's not much at all, yeah. So now we don't have the costs of the body corporate strata cost because it's not finalised from the development point of view. So the lawyer for the vendor told us that it's not disclosed yet. It will come out soon. They're coming, towards completion next month or so. So we'll know soon. When Matt mentioned about the provider fees, look, right now there is no housing provider allocated yet to the 7 units. Investors can choose their own, but there will be one dedicated one for all units, if, as an option, investors don't have one to choose from. Yeah, because they'll also be working with the on-site SIL provider as well. So the vendor right now who's selling the apartments is also a SIL provider himself. So he is helping source participants for our investors as well, yes. So I just want to do a little disclaimer here. So what we talked about with regards to the tenancy mix, there's no guarantee of who's getting what.
Yeah.
So let's be honest, as much as we all investors would like to have a HBS plus HBS, tenancy matching is an important topic. So you don't know who's moving in, because one guy might like, one participant may love level 1.
Yeah.
Another guy may love level 8 or level 7.
Yeah. So I think one of the questions we've been asked is, what's the best level to be on? And it depends on what the participant wants.
Someone might be scared of heights, Tenancy matching, personality matching is a critical issue as well, man. So that's up to the housing provider and the super provider to work together to find the optimum living arrangements between two participants.
Yes.
Not the optimum financial outcome for the investor, because that's not in our control.
Yeah.
It's about personalities, yeah. So, next topic, Matt. Anything else to cover?
Well, yeah, I just thought we'd move on to...
We've got one more here, Matt. 1 bedroom, 1 resident funding. Okay. There's another one here. So, do you have that in front of you?
I do indeed, yeah.
So, let's go through that.
Yeah, so...
So, this is for a participant who has funding, SDA funding for only 1 bedroom, 1 resident.
But they're in a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, yeah.
So, before we quote the numbers, investors might be asking, well, why are we even talking about a 1 bedroom, 1 resident funding for a 3-bedroom unit for SDA? Well, the thing is, if someone is already in an old 2-year-old unit down the road in Liverpool, and they hate the area, or they hate the apartment, they want to move out of it, they want to share with someone else, right? They find it too boring living by themselves as a participant who is wheelchair bound, for example, right? They may say, oh, well, I want to share with another participant in a brand new apartment in a large complex. I want to move. Well, unfortunately, the NDIS won't just give you a higher level funding because you want to move to a better complex. So they may just have to bring that funding with them to the new complex, and they'll put the application in. It's up to the landlord to accept it. So those numbers, Matt, are...
Yeah, so you've got IL at the bottom, which would be, would give you a total income of 55,000, 56,000. That's a gross yield of 6.6% or a net yield of 4.3%. Going up from that, you have an FA for 1 bedroom, 1 resident funding. That would have a total income of 83,000. A gross yield of 10% and a net yield of 7.1%. Lastly, you have your HBS, 1 bedroom, 1 resident funding. That would be a total income of 107,000, and then that equates to obviously a gross yield of 12.8% and a net yield of 9.5%.
Yeah. So let me use an example here, Matt, of how the one bedroom, 1 resident funding would be applicable to a 3-bedder, right? Let's say you have a wheelchair, FA, fully accessible wheelchair bound participant who is self-employed, works from home, who is a graphic designer. So they have a second room for their desk, their office, the computer and all the filing cabinets and everything. Their main room as their bedroom, right? And they may have kids coming over all the time, 2-3 days a week in the spare room, right? In that scenario there, you're looking at a 1 resident in the 3-bedroom apartment scenario there.
Yes, yep, makes sense.
Who cannot share, right? That's just an example of when a 1 resident, 1 bedroom funded person would look at a 3-bedroom scenario. So again, that's up to the investor to accept yes or no. Yep. Remember, everybody, if you are a owner of a SDA apartment or dwelling, the housing provider who receives the applications from the support coordinators or SIL providers will gather the information and submit the applications to the landlord to look over and decide who they want to accept. Okay? So that's that topic there. Moving on, Matt. Next topic?
Yeah, so the next topic would be the FAQs, or questions that we've been asked that we feel we should bring up just because they weren't maybe as clear as we would have liked them to be, or we didn't cover it in our brochure. So the first question was how many car bays or car parks are included with each apartment?
One car bay per participant. One car bay per apartment, sorry, yeah.
Per apartment. Excellent. And is there, what's the body corporate fee? We received that. Obviously, we've touched on it earlier that we don't know yet, but that will be fully included in the contract. And the land tax, what will that be? We discussed that it will be very, very small.
Yeah, so, because there's 303 apartments on the one site, it's going to be whatever the land tax is for that. Sure, there is a component of that divided by 303. So that's worked out between the council and the council and government. So I don't know the answer to that question. It's a land tax question, but it'll be very small though. Yeah.
Stamp duty, probably around 30,000.
So go to the OSR, Office State Revenue, for New South Wales, and do the calculation online. It'll tell you exactly what the stamp duty is for 840,000 purchase price. Yeah.
Property management fee.
The housing provider fee, that's, as we said earlier, between 10 to 13, 14% plus GST. It depends on who you use. But the range is about 11, 12% out there in the marketplace, yeah.
And is there a depreciation schedule?
That will be done. So an investor would normally have to hire a quantity surveyor to go inspect it and do a report. Those kind of reports cost about $600-700 per report, and they will do the full depreciation schedule. Yeah. And by the way, I would recommend anyone who is doing that depreciation schedule to be done after it's completed and after it's been furnished. If you're going to furnish it, as in throwing in white goods like a washing machine, a dryer, a fridge, and some other items in the house, do that first and then do your depreciation schedule, because the quantity surveyor will take that into consideration of all the items that are in the dwelling, right, in the unit, to do the numbers.
Good advice.
Yeah, so don't do it. Do the report after do the report before they move in and after it's been filled or partially furnished, yeah.
Excellent. And we discussed the body corporate, obviously. That includes the strata fee.
Yes.
Yep. And is there any other expenses?
No. I mean, as we've said before in the past, provisions for hoist automation, all those little things that are NDIS approved to pay for. The government will pay for those costs for installation, depending on the client participant requirements before moving in. Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, that's. I think have we covered everything already, man? I think we have.
I think we've covered everything. Yeah. Obviously, if you're an investor out there and you do have other questions that you feel we haven't covered, you can feel free to give us a call or email us, and we'll be able to assist you. Yeah.
So 3-bedroom units are very rare. I've never seen a SDA 3-bedder. This is a good opportunity to consider this. It's pretty much built within the next month or so.
Yeah, if you're out there and you want already built houses, this is an opportunity for you.
Yeah. Remember, guys, everyone who's listening, it's not like there's alternatives in Liverpool area or Sydney Southwest. It's because it's all built out old houses and apartments. Like there's nowhere to go. This is a brand new complex which is finished pretty much now, and to live in a safe brand new environment.
Close to parks, transport hubs, recreational areas. It's a great location, yeah.
From an investment point of view, it's all about the participants in mind, and I can assure you, as the number Matt said earlier, how many were in the area?
207 with SDA funding, yeah.
How many are in legacy? 150, isn't it?
About 150.
Yeah, so if I was living in an old house in the Liverpool area, share with 6 other people, I want out. I wouldn't want to go to a brand new apartment. I would.
100%.
Yeah. And that's just me. So it's not about what you as an investor think, would I live in Liverpool? It's not about that. It's about providing a roof over the head of someone who is in need, who is qualified for SDA, and it's part of the NDIS. And this is why you're listening to our podcast at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it, Matt.
That's about it. Yeah.
Any questions, guys? Please call Matt on 1300 254397.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.